You wake to the echo of hooves on cobblestones, the night air thick with the smoke of olive lamps and the faint rod of the Tiber, winding through Rome's heart. It is 48 AD, past midnight, and you crouch in the shadows of the imperial palace, your back pressed to cold marble, the coarse weave of your tunic snagging against broken stone. Beyond silk curtains, swaying like ghosts in the draught, come murmurs of laughter, gasps, the ring of goblets, sounds from a world you're forbidden to enter. Your pulse hammers, a servant, unseen, yet close enough to catch whispers of treachery. Valeria Messalina, the Empress herself, slipping away under a hooded cloak, her eyes burning with a reckless fire that could consume an empire. Heat clings to your skin despite the chill, and fear tightens your gut. One slip, one overheard word, and the Praetorian blades will find you before the sun crests Palatine Hill. Before we step deeper into these forgotten lives of survival and cruelty, if you enjoy exploring the hidden truths of history, remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. And drop a comment below to tell me where you're watching from. I'm always in awe that we share these journeys into the ancient past together, scattered across the world but bound by curiosity. So gather close, let the crackle of the fire weave through this tale, its glow revealing a Rome both brilliant and rotting. This is not a dry recitation of scrolls, but a story alive with the stench of alleys, the perfume of palaces, and the dread of those who lived at the empire's edge. We unravel the life of Valeria Messalina, Empress of Rome, her name a symbol of excess, and we confront the silent torment of the delicati, the boys whose pain was as common as bread baked in the Suburra's ovens. From Tacitus, Suetonius, Cassius Dio, Juvenal, Pliny, we draw fragments pieced together here not to condemn, but to witness, to feel the pulse of a world where power cut like a blade, sharp and merciless. Messalina was born around 20 AD into a house where ambition and ancestry twined like ivy climbing Rome's crumbling walls. Her father, Marcus Valerius Messala Barbatus, a consul whose line had carved triumphs into the Republic, held court in a domus where wax masks of ancestors gazed from alcoves, their hollow eyes still commanding. Her mother, Domitia Lepida the Younger, was of the highest stock, sister to Nero's father, cousin to Caligula, whose laughter once filled the palace halls. Before his madness drowned it in blood, Messalina's earliest sights would have been of roof tiles, baking in the sun, slaves gliding silently with trays of figs and wine, bare feet whispering across mosaics where painted gods reveled forever. The Tiberias breeze carried the scent of loaves from the Suburra, mingled with the rot of fish dragged from its muddy banks, a reminder that Rome's glory rested on labor and loss. As a girl she wandered the palace gardens, where fountains arced, scattering rainbows across laurel hedges. She traced frescoes of nymphs dancing with satyrs, their painted eyes watching her, or listened to her mother speak in hushed tones with senators' wives, their words edged with the politics of marriage and alliance. Childhood in such a world vanished quickly. By 38 AD, at perhaps 18, she was bound to Claudius, then 48, his limp, his stammer, his twisted mouth making him a figure of ridicule among nobles. Claudius, born in 10 BC to Drusus and Antonia Minor, had survived Julio-Claudian plots by hiding in scholarship, his hands stained with ink while Kin schemed in marble halls. Their wedding was a display of power, not passion. Priests droned beneath a canopy of silk, air thick with incense, while guests in togas embroidered with gold whispered of alliances sealed through bloodlines. Children followed swiftly. In 39 or 40 AD Claudia Octavia was born, a frail child with her mother's searching eyes, swaddled in purple-dyed linens. In 41 came Tiberius Claudius Germanicus, later called Britannicus, his birth marking a Rome at the edge of upheaval. That same year Caligula was butchered, daggers tearing him apart in a corridor slick with blood as torches guttered. The Praetorian Guard, armor clanking, found Claudius trembling behind a curtain, his breath ragged. They hailed him emperor, dragged him to the Senate, where terrified senators proclaimed him ruler to appease the mob. Messalina, barely 21, became Empress aflame in a court of shadows. The palace gleamed in torchlight, but the air was thick with betrayal. She moved with a predator's grace, silks brushing frescoes of Venus and Adonis. Her laughter was bright, yet sharp as knives. She aligned herself with Claudius's freedman Narcissus, whose eyes missed nothing, and Pallas, whose wealth dwarfed that of senators. Once slaves, now masters of intrigue, they became her weapons, drafting accusations, steering decrees to fortify her hold. Tacitus in Annals 11 describes her as a storm of ambition. Her mind is keen, as the daggers senators concealed beneath their robes, In 42 AD her eye fell upon Appius Junius Silenus, a noble senator bound to wed her mother Domitia Lepida. When he resisted her, sensing the danger, she spun a plot, her voice urgent in Narcissus's ear. Tacitus records the night Claudius shaken awake, the freedman's whispers chilling him, his face ashen in lamplight as he ordered Silenus's death without trial at dawn. The man's cries echoed on the Gemonian stairs, his blood soaking the stones where traitors were displayed. The crowd's murmurs rose like a tide, sandals scraping dust as fear cloaked the city. Messalina's reach slipped into private chambers of the powerful. Suetonius in Life of Claudius tells of her pursuit of Nestor, a Greek actor whose beauty enthralled the theater. She summoned him to her room scented with rose water, curtains muffling whispers. Her threats were clear yield or face exile, perhaps death. Their meetings played out in shadows, candlelight catching sweat on trembling skin, his obedience born from survival. Cassius Dio recalls her envy of Julia Livilla, Caligula's sister, whose beauty matched her own. In 41 AD Messalina orchestrated her exile to Pandataria, a barren rock where winds shrieked and hunger wasted her body. Letters smuggled by loyal slaves told of cold nights, tangled hair, and sunburnt skin. But Rome remembers most the rumors of Messalina's lusts, though fact and satire blur. Juvenal, in Satire 6, paints her slipping into the Suburra at night, in the city's shadows, where the air reeked of tavern wine and sweat. She prowled disguised as one of the street's women. Inside smoke-filled dens, on straw that rasped against her body, she bartered herself, imperial rings hidden but eyes burning with hunger no coin could still. At dawn she staggered home, limbs bruised, purse jingling with the night's earnings, yet unsated. Pliny the Elder, Natural History 10, spins the tale of a contest with Scylla, famed for her endurance. The challenge, who could take more lovers in one day? Messalina emerged, triumphant with 25, body aching, breath ragged as voices cheered outside, unaware their Empress was victor. Tacitus warns these tales, though rooted in her recklessness, were fanned by enemies, especially Agrippina, whose memoirs fed Rome's gossip. Yet Messalina was not only scandal, she shielded her children from the court's venom. Britannicus, book in hand, chased lizards through palace gardens scented with roses. Octavia, delicate, quiet, was betrothed in 41 AD to Lucius Junius Silenus, a union Messalina arranged but later unraveled. Claudius, lost in his conquest of Britain in 43 AD, where legions dragged standards through swamps, trusted Rome to her. That trust would snap in 48 AD, with Gaius Silius, consul designate, whose ambition matched his beauty. Tacitus recounts their clandestine affair, their bodies entwined on couches strewn with petals, his whispers of empire stoking her fire. While Claudius inspected grain ships at Ostia, they staged a mock wedding. The feast was a bacchanal, guests draped in vines, flutes shrilling, Messalina's veil fluttering as she laughed, eyes glittering with defiance. Narcissus, sensing doom, raced to Ostia, dust choking the air as his chariot flew. He warned Claudius, who returned under cover of night, carriage rattling over rough stone, his face carved in betrayal. The raid was chaos. Praetorians stormed Silius's villa, finding imperial gifts amid overturned goblets and wilted flowers. Messalina fled to Lucullus's gardens, cypresses swaying like mourners. Domitia, her mother, pressed a dagger into her hands, urging death. Tacitus shows her weeping, blade shaking, knees in the cold grass. She faltered. A tribune's sword struck, blood darkened the soil. Claudius, later at dinner, asked of her fate with a hollow voice, as if grief had carved him empty. The Senate decreed damnatio memoria. Her statues crashed in the squares, her name erased from stone. Now we turn to a darker truth. Woven into Rome's walls the lives of the delicati, boys whose youth was currency in a world where power devoured innocence. These were not only slaves, but captives, often under 10, seized in markets from Rome to Alexandria, from Gaul to Judea, their beauty bought and sold among the elite. Suetonius in Tiberius 43 recalls Capri in 27 AD, the emperor retreating to cliffs where the sea roared like a beast. His villa teemed with boys, fair Germans, dark Syrians, their oiled skin glistening under torches. They danced in grottos where water dripped, air heavy with myrrh. Castration was common, the knife cold, the wound followed by weeks of fever in dim rooms where cries went unheard. Fear was constant, eyes darting as they poured wine or endured worse. Defiance meant lash or mines where rock crushed bone. Petronius in Satyricon mocks feasts, but betrays the truth boys forced to circulate. Laughter brittle, welts hidden beneath tunics. Seneca, in Letters to Lucilius 47, Laments their torment, smiles masking dread. Nights of endless use, a master's favor might bring trinkets, but refusal brought sale to brothels, where straw tore at their bodies. Clients merciless, law gave no shield, slaves were property, bodies tools of profit. Nero's reign twisted this further. Suetonius and Nero 28 rites of Sporus. A boy resembling his dead wife, castrated in a ceremony where blood stained the floor, draped in veils, paraded as Empress through Rome. His litter swayed as crowds stared. Their wedding was grotesque excess. Peacocks roasting on tables. Nero's hands tight on skin still raw. Sporus endured public kisses, daylight shame, until Nero's suicide left him to Vitellius and others, his own death, a final refusal of disgrace. Martial in Epigrams 9 speaks of Domitian's favorite, a boy cut despite the emperor's ban on castration in 82 AD. Hypocrisy laid bare. Laws shifted, but villas still housed boys trained to submit. Identities erased in homes, from Ostia's steamy baths to Antioch's dusty estates. From Britain's muddy fields, slaves captured and sold, prodded like livestock, groomed in baths where steam rose. Iron razors sheared their hair. They learned to hide pain, knowing rebellion brought lashes that split skin like cloth. Quintilian institutes 7 notes, parents flaunting such boys even before their children, baking cruelty into Rome's culture. In Pompeii, graffiti scratched in bathhouse walls still whispered despair. On frontiers, legionaries kept their own, tents filled with the clink of armor and stifled sobs. Hadrian outlawed castration in 117 AD, yet the trade persisted in shadows, their silence a scream smothered by empire. Messalina's story and the Delicate's torment are threads in Rome's fabric, a city of marble and blood, where desire brought both glory and ruin. Her contests, whether truth or rumor, reflect the boys' endurance, both trapped in a world that worshipped power over humanity. The fires, embers dim now, their glow faint like the lives history erased, yet their whispers linger in the ash, urging us to see the cost of empire, paid in flesh and fear beneath the laurels and cheers.